Welcome to the Music and Memories Podcast with your host, Vince Moreno.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a brand new episode of Music and Memories. I think this is episode number 7.5, I think. I'm not really sure because... let's see. When was the last time I did one? I think the last one I did was in March, early March with Ray Scott. So 3 people heard that one, and 4 people are going to hear this one. Today's guest on my comeback show here with Music and Memories is Travis Toy, the extreme musician.
Extreme.
Extraordinaire is what I wanted to say.
Extreme musicianship. Extreme.
Extreme.
Sunday.
We got our radio voices on because we got our radio mics out. But
Welcome.
Man, so we just recorded about an hour's worth of material and the mics weren't on.
Yeah.
So let's recreate all that stuff. So do you remember what you said exactly word for word about?
I think I said hi to my mom.
Right. I want to thank God and the Academy.
Yeah, I thanked some people. That's it. No, we were talking about how crazy 2020 is, and why you haven't done one of these in a while. Which is because of that.
Everybody's been out of work. Everybody's been out of their minds, mostly. But what have you been doing to survive this thing, man? First of all, we should probably tell everybody, for those limited people who don't know, but man, you play steel guitar and other instruments, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm primarily a pedal steel is definitely my first instrument, but I grew up in sort of a musical family. My mom and dad were both kind of like weekend warrior musicians, and mom's a really, really great singer, and my dad played pedal steel and guitar and drums and all that stuff. So I sort of got it natural, I guess, and was, my earliest memories are like watching my dad play in like barn dances and stuff as a kid, which is kind of cool. But pedal steel mainly, even though drums was actually my first instrument. I got obsessed with pedal steel when I was I'd been playing drums for a couple years, and I'm sure we were dirt poor growing up and lived in a trailer, and like somehow there was a drum set in there, and I'm sure it was about to make my mom's head pop off her shoulders hearing me practice. And we were on summer break. I've been playing drums for a couple years, and got pretty good at drums. My dad was a very, very good drummer, and I was getting a little bored with it, I guess, and my mom sort of essentially challenged me / dared me to go try to play my dad's steel guitar.
That's how it always starts, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how everything starts on a dare. And I went...
Hold my drumsticks and watch this.
Yeah, I'll hold these sticks. And honestly, I'd grown up watching him play, so I was sort of, I'd never tried it, but I had it sort of ingrained into my soul, I think, already at that point, and just started playing and got completely obsessed with it.
So you're blaming your parents?
All my parents' fault, yeah. But that's it, yeah, and just kind of, I don't know, barely finished high school because I started working. I was playing clubs when I was 16. And
yeah, that's very reminiscent of my childhood too. It's like
same story everybody tells. Exactly.
It's like sleep through school and then play a gig at night. But the main thing is right now, well, we're not sure for how long, but right now you play for Rascal Flatts. You're the steel player for Rascal Flatts for how many years now?
I started in 04, so 16 years I've been doing that. And
dang.
Yeah, this year has sort of like dismantled all.
So in 16 years of playing with Rascal Flatts, you've played 16 notes?
Yeah, there's one.
18 maybe?
You basically divide out the one note over the course of the year. And you wind up with some really small subdivisions of notes, but luckily it all pays the same. So
well, that's all you need, dude. That's all you. No, I've always given you and our buddy Craig Kralik, I'm around him a lot too, and he's a drum tech for Rascal Flatts, and I'm always giving him a hard time about the traditional country music and all that stuff.
The crazy thing about those guys is obviously they've made their fortunes and their legacy doing well, it's funny now if you go back like in the current like what is on the radio now and you go listen to Praying for Daylight, it seems like the countryest thing you've ever heard in your life.
And back then I remember going, what is this rock and roll?
What is this? I was playing with I was playing with Patty Levels before I started with those guys, and I remember going, God, this stuff's so slick, like, do I want to do this? And
right.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's, and obviously it worked out, but I was going to say the ironic thing about all 3 of those guys is even though they've made their mark doing pop, pop-based music for the most part, dude, all 3 of those guys are encyclopedias of classic country. I mean, they were doing fiddle and steel, was where they all met.
Oh yeah, the bar downtown.
Yeah, playing on Broadway and all that stuff. And like, Gary is like an encyclopedia of every classic country song ever.
That's
that guy, which is their because you'll never hear him doing it, or anymore. But
that's kind of, they love that.
They love it.
If they came downtown and just sat in a club and just played Waylon and Haggard, and
they can do the hell out of it. Yeah, it's
funny. It's kind of like
awesome.
Luke Bryan's kind of the same way. Like he loves traditional country music, and it's like, hey, he makes his living doing what he does.
Yeah, I mean, Gary can sing every Haggard and Waylon song ever, man. It's
just really, about 3 really steps up, huh?
Yeah, about 3. Yeah. You got to go an octave or 2 up, and you got to retune everything.
That boy sings high.
Yeah,
man.
He does.
Craig Kralicki has been trying to get me, and I said, man, I would love to do. There's a lot of songs that RF does that I would love to do. I'm just like, but I'm the type of guy where if I can't do it in the original key that it's recorded in, I don't do it because I feel like it doesn't justice to the song. So I'm sitting there going, I would love to do God Bless the Broken Road, but I'm like, God, I'd have to do it like Johnny Cash's version or something.
I melt every time I look at you.
Yeah, it's like,
that's kind of low, isn't it? No, this is where I sing it.
Let's kick it up and down. But I mean, like, I can hit some Vince Gill notes and stuff like that. But man, Gary's just like
some Vince Moreno notes.
Yeah,
Vince sings Vince.
Well, I'm taking the O's out. Don't forget, I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, Vince Gill. Vince Moreno sings Vince Gill in the style of Vince Neil.
I think the other night when you said that on my live and I actually did it, nobody was getting it.
I like to think that some people tuned in right at that moment and were like, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen."
Who is this idiot?
Who is this guy?
Let's tip him.
He's horrible. Let's tip him.
He should be on The Voice.
Yeah.
The Voice of what?
Let's vote him through.
I love when people tell me that. You should go on The Voice and be on Blake's team. I'm like, well, I don't think they let you choose whose team you're going to be on. I think they have to choose you.
I don't think they let Mexicans on the show.
That's true. They do. It's called American Idol.
Yeah. They've got another one.
I tell people all the time I'm going to go on the Mexican Idol. Never happened. That show never came to fruition. But man, you were cracking me up there tonight.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think you and I are pretty quick-witted. We have the same kind of sense of humor. It's dark, and a lot of musicians actually have a pretty dark sense of humor, but. They all share little jokes amongst each other, but they're like, "Oh, I would never post that."
I would never post
people that. Would, burn my Facebook page down, but sometimes I do. And they go, "Why would you ever?" But anyway, you were saying some stuff the other night, and the Vince Neil thing, that was funny.
For those of you listening, one of my great pleasures is to get on Vince's Facebook Live concerts and just comment, request songs, and basically mock other people who are commenting too. Is one of my things that I really enjoy.
I love that's what makes me laugh. Yeah. The non-tippers.
Yeah. But yeah, man, 2020 to circle completely around. It's we're halfway through it as of the taping.
That's what I was telling. I was telling a buddy of mine today. I said, "Hey, the positive thing about this year is it's almost done."
Yeah, we're taping this on June 11th, and yeah, man, we're.
Is it June?
It's June. Yeah. I was telling somebody too. It's crazy. It's like it seems like time. It's weird. I mean. It seems in a way like time is dragging by because nobody's doing anything, but it also seems like it's flying by at the same time. And
it's nuts.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. I really hope that we get into 2021 and we can work.
And then what?
And then
and then what?
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah. And then what?
We've all been like trying to do some, every musician, even whether they have a good road gig or a good, a lot of guys play full time downtown. They make great money,
right?
But everybody's got a little side thing that they always try to do. And you started doing some like internet lessons that are just it's killing it. I mean, people are signing up like crazy for that. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's funny, man. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and it's just really time consuming. So before this year, I didn't have the time to do it.
Everybody was gone doing stuff.
Everybody was going doing stuff. No, man, like a couple months ago, well, the site's been up as of yesterday, June 10th, it was up a month, but it took me a good
So month. It's pretty new then.
It's pretty new. It took me a good month just to get everything shot and edited for the initial launch because it's a lot of work.
Well, you got to have a stockpile of stuff to have ready, right?
Yeah, it's like you got to launch with enough stuff for people to show value. I mean, you can't launch with one video.
Yeah, and then be like, when's the next one coming out?
When's the next one?
It takes a month, damn it.
And then what? But no, it's going good. It's for any of you pedal steel guitar players that are listening, it's TravisToyTutorials.com. And no, it's cool. It's To be quite honest, man, it's it's sort of another income stream in this year of not knowing what the hell's going on day to day. So I'm really glad that I wound up. I'm really glad that I wound up doing it, just because it's become more important than I thought it might become. So
what is it for there might be people that just want to pick up a steel guitar, and I've always wanted to learn it. So what do? They go to TravisToyTutorials.com.
Yep.
And what can they expect, or what do they need to do?
It's a subscription based service. So it's currently priced at $30 a month, which the thing.
That's pretty cheap for a month.
It's cheap because it's. To put it in perspective, I also do private, and a lot of people do private Skype lessons.
Right.
Guitar player friends. Most people charge $50 an hour for a private lesson. So you get an hour for $50, or you get access to, as of right now, there's over 10 hours of stuff on there for $30. And I'm adding to it. To put it in perspective, I launched with 6 hours worth of content, and then last month I've added 4 hours. So even if you took 4 1-hour Skype lessons, it'd be $200. Right, and you get it for $30. So
that's a gonga. That's a deal.
And for anybody that's just learning, my stuff literally starts at the most simple stuff. How do you tune? I show how I tune. What do the pedals do? Like, what are the strings?
Oh, that's awesome.
It's all the way down to basic. I mean, talking about picks and how you wear your picks and how you should shape your picks and bars and volume pedals.
That's so valuable information, man.
Yeah, it actually is, because a lot of things don't start that basic.
Mm-mm.
And you go into a lot of things and they expect or assume you to already know some basic stuff. And, if you're a kid that just got a steel last week or talked his parents into buying them one because they're $1 million gazillion, what do you do? Like none of that stuff. So, you get on there and I go, okay, cool. Now I know how to tune, and, and you talk, and it starts basic, where are harmonized scales and like all the sort of things, the building blocks for that instrument that you need to know. And then, you keep going. I get into intermediate stuff. There's very advanced stuff on there.
Sure.
It's been really cool and humbling, as a teacher and just as a fan of steel guitar in general. I've got there's heroes of mine on the instrument that are on the site and tell me that they're, learning new stuff after 50 years of playing. So
that's very cool.
That's super humbling for me. And it's cool. It just lets me know that, there is a need for it. And I've got guys that are playing 50 years and literally people that are like 2 weeks in to the instrument, and it's able to serve everybody. So I think that's cool. And I'm literally adding to it daily.
Well, I think, it's, you're crazy talented, man. And I see, like, the videos I see on Facebook, I think, are those almost damaging, because it might be intimidating to be somebody like you're out there ripping this stuff out, right. And somebody's like, I couldn't take a lesson from that guy. Guy's way, but it's cool that you're explaining that you're talking about the fundamental elements, like starting out, because when I was first starting guitar and stuff, there was like the Roy Clark book of guitar or whatever it was, Clark, and it's like they don't talk about what different size or hardness of picks.
Roy Clark, here's Foggy Mountain Breakdown, 400 beats per minute.
Yeah, and now you do it. That's really like
the Roy Clark way.
With a big smile on your face, going with your eyebrows up and down. But no, and even when I first, I play a little bit of steel. When I first got one, nobody ever said, you flip it over to take the legs off.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff like that.
It's like, how do I get this thing apart?
Beginners are just like, they need to know that stuff. And it's the same way with the guitar. Nobody ever said, well, they make different thickness of picks, and there's different gauges of strings for this. And, there's tones that you go after, and this is what this does. And nobody ever covers that stuff. They just say, here's the E. Ding.
Here's an E. Yeah, but what'd you do that with? It's like, how do you...
Yeah, that's cool that you're explaining, how to shape your picks. And
it's like, well, it's interesting. There's a lot of instruction. There's a lot of good instruction, but I feel like that's one of the spots where a lot of it fails people, is like, you teach a lick or whatever, and you go, all right, that's cool to know that, but like, why? What is that lick actually like?
Or how to use it,
How to use it, or even like, what set of knowledge did you actually use to even make that lick or even know to play it? And it's like, honestly, like the lick doesn't even matter as much as that does, because there's a million licks. It's like, licks are cool, but to be able to create it on your own is a whole other thing. And, just talking about, to circle around, just details on, it's like actually how you shape your picks is a pretty big deal, depending on what your right hand technique is, and not to nerd out too much on this podcast, but it's like the detail. Everything's in the details. Like there's a lot of glazing over and like flyovers of like general technique, and no like crazy detail oriented picking apart of what, to pardon the pun, of what is actually happening. And I'm trying to do that. And I think
it apart.
Yeah, pick it apart, man.
Well, hell, I might just subscribe to that thing.
I mean, we're going to make a steel player out of you yet.
By God.
You've hung out with some good ones,
hey,
man.
I tell you what, I've been blessed with in that sense. But it's funny, when I was in high school, when I was younger, I was from a small little town. Somebody'd say, hey, do you play, because somebody quit a band or something, a local band. They'd be like, hey, does your son play bass? They'd ask my dad. I don't know. Let's find out. He would go down to the music store and get one, some cheap little bass, and I'd learn it.
There you go, son.
So I was kind of like you. I had a drum set up in our living room. My mom had an old player piano in the living room, where my sister was a great classical player. She's a beautiful player. And then I would actually hook my bass up into the old console stereos, where they had I think they had 12-inch subwoofers in them.
Dude, some of those things are killer.
Yeah,
man.
so I'd plug it in there and play along with Santana and whatever records were there, and then a guitar over here and an accordion over here or whatever. But one time these guys were like, hey, do you play steel guitar? And this was right around the time where like the 89, 88 era where Garth was coming out, and I was like,
Class 89.
Well, I can always try, So, dude, you'll appreciate this story. I don't think I've ever shared this with you. I go to this place in Service. It's this little music store in Service, Arizona. And I don't think my dad went. I think it was me and the band that I was in, actually, at the time. It was called Sidekick. We go in there, and they're like, hey, we heard this place has a steel guitar for sale. I'm like, all right. So I go in there, and it's just one of these old Showbud, single neck. I don't even remember if it was, I think it was a 10-string, I think.
Yeah.
So I go in there and it's sitting there, and I was like, yeah, cool. I'm like, how much, And I think it was, I don't know if I paid $800 for it or something.
Right.
I don't know, right? So the lady comes over, and I said, I think I'll take it. She says, okay, let me go get the case. She brings out the case. So, dude, the kid we had that ran the lights, and the kid we had, our bass player, they were holding it up on each side so I could unscrew the legs from the bottom.
That's amazing.
And I'm unscrewing the legs, and she's like, wow, it looks like you know what you're doing. I'm like, oh yeah.
You're like, hell yeah, I do.
Damn right, And
this ain't nothing.
And I'm like, shit, where do the legs go, And so then I find it in the case, and then they flip it over, we put the thing in there, and we finally figure it all out. So I take it home, and I start just, trying to learn it a little bit. I figured out on my own which strings made a G or the open G, and all that stuff. And so then I'm learning stuff like the lead ride on Much Too Young and Red and Rio Grande. I had that steel thing down, right? So I had a few songs that I was like, okay. So we're and I used to have it. It was the way I had my setup back then, because I was more of a side guy. I'd have my steel, and right above it there was a keyboard.
Oh yeah.
And then underneath the steel I had my sustain pedal for the keyboard, right? And then the steel was kind of slid underneath the piano, and then I played guitar. And so one day we're out playing this little club in Wilcox, in my hometown. This old man's sitting out there, and he's like, "Hey man, I like that little Showbud you got." And I was like, "What?" Because I didn't even know that's what it was called. I was just so stupid, this steel guitar, because I just wasn't around us in the desert out there as much. Right. And so
the desert.
This old man comes. He comes up and says, "You mind if I pick one?" I'm like. And I used to be real like, no, man, you ain't touching my stuff, And I was like, yeah, actually, yeah. And he's like, well, I got, So he sits down behind it, and at the time, my sustain pedal, it was a plastic. It looked like a volume pedal. Is what it looked like. So he's over there hitting, and I was like, what the hell is he doing hitting the sustain pedal for? And he's like, he's looking under it, and he's like, so we get to where it was a solo. I don't remember if we're playing something, and he's like looking at me like, what? And I'm like, what's wrong? He goes, where's your knee levers? And I said, what? and I was like, what are you talking about?
What the hell is that?
So we get done with the set or whatever, and he's like, man, this is supposed to have 3 knee levers here and underneath here. And I said, where's your volume pedal? I said, volume pedal? Dude, I didn't know nothing, dude. So he's like, let me take this thing and work on it. And he's like, I'll just rig it up, to where you have knee levers and where it's supposed to be. And he gave me this old, I think it was a Dunlop volume pedal. He was trying to hook me up, I was like, yeah, man. So a couple weeks later, he brings it back. And dude, I was so lost after that. I was like, volume pedal, knee levers. I'm like, dude, you just throw.
It's too much stuff now.
Yeah, from what I learned on, I'm like, it was like a whole nother new instrument. I'm like, shit, I got to learn a new instrument again.
This thing sucks now.
So then, I couldn't learn it after that. I was like, because I didn't have any instruction, and he lived in a town about an hour away, so that was impossible, for me at the time. And so I ended up just selling it, I think, for like $300 or $400 to make rent one time a long time. And I would kill to have that thing because I don't even know what model it was, but I'm like, dang. Yeah. So that was my...
Dude, I'm going to take one of mine and take all the knee levers off, not get the volume pedal, and bring it over here. I'm going to have you go live, dude, with that same rig, that piano.
I could play Much Too Young.
Rig. Yeah, well, that's what we're going to do.
There's a few songs I can play without all that crap attached.
That's right. Just get you hogging around on that thing again.
Man,
that's funny. I thought you were going to say it was like Hal Rugg or somebody was like the old man or something.
Oh no, that'd have been a really cool story. But
let me pick one, son. Okay, and then he gets up just like.
So that's how you do that.
Yeah. What?
No, he didn't come into my life until later in like 2002 or 3.
That's cool.
He had moved back to Hal Rugg had moved back to Tucson from Nashville, and for those of you who don't know who Hal Rugg is, he was pretty instrumental in Loretta Lynn's records and playing steel on that, and played the Opry for like
one of the all-time great, like influential, original sort of generation of real innovators on the instrument, and
big time.
Yeah, very, very much.
Well, I was playing this club in Tucson, and this guy that played, well, he owned a steel guitar. I mean, he didn't really play it that much, but I won't mention his name. But he came to me one day and he says, I said, hey, can you play next week, whatever? And he says, no, I can't, but Hal Rugg's in town. And I said, who? I really didn't know who he was.
I mean, you wouldn't unless you're
unless you're really into the instrument, which I always loved your instrument. But I mean, shit, there was one time Eddie Raven was in our town, and I walked up to the bus driver and said, can I have your autograph? Because I never had records. I never had this. I just always heard it on the radio. So anyway, I said, who's that? And he goes, like,
what?
How do you not know? Yeah. And he's like, probably one of the most famous steel players in the world. And I said, oh. Well, give me his number.
Cool. Can he play?
Yeah, I was like, so can he do next week?
But does he know Much Too Young to feel? Because I tell you what,
does he have a volume pedal?
Yeah, because if he doesn't play it as good as me, I'm going to be pissed. Basically,
does he come with his own volume pedal and knee levers? Let me tell you what. Well, I ended up calling him, and he said, I can come, because at the time I was doing 5 nights a week, and I was like. He said, I can come to, Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever, a couple, because he basically retired and was back out in Tucson, where that was his hometown. And so he came out and played, and I was like, we're sitting there playing, and then all of a sudden I look up on the TV, because the club had TVs up there, and we're looking at TV, and he's up there playing it was like a fanfare thing.
Oh, really?
At the arena. I was like, hey, is that you? What the son of a bitch? He's right here, he's on TV, And he's like, went and filmed that a couple months ago, or whatever. And I was like, wow, So then he started playing. Once he realized like we were a pretty decent band, and he started playing with us like
had fun doing it.
four nights out of the week.
That's awesome.
And then he said, "Man, we need to go to Nashville, and you need to do a record, And I was like, "Yeah, man, let's." Yes. Oh my God, yes,
that is right. That is what we should do.
Do that. So we did, and actually, what's funny is that we're talking about that is. I just had that whole album. It's called Richest Man Alive. I just had my buddy Dave Smith remastered it, and he threw some harmonies on it because it never had harmonies. I never understood that why. I never. I always asked Hal, how come I didn't get to put harmonies on that? Like, why, you ran out of money? I mean, nobody ever said anything, But anyway, so it's back at where it is, and there's an original song that I wrote called Whiskey for Two that I just was never settled with it, and I finally had a chance to redo it, and you did the steel guitar on it, and man, it is amazing.
Oh, thanks.
And there's a funny story behind that too, because Dave had somebody else play steel on it, and I was like, man, that's good, it's not like it's bad. I just want something kind of out of the box, you know. And I said, I think I have the guy for this song, and he was like, well, whatever, like I said, it's not going to piss your guy off, is it? And he goes, no, I mean, he's paid, he don't care, know. And I said, all right, well, I really want to send it, and I remember I sent it to you, and I said, hey, just kind of think, differently or whatever, like be you, And you sent this and I was like,
it's
man,
very commercial. Like what I played was like, I mean,
it was very, it was commercial, straight line, and I said, man, that's almost exactly what the last guy did. I said, I want you to do you, and you said. Okay, well, what'd you say? I'll put the pedal down on one. Or you said something like that.
I said, I'll floor it then.
I'll floor it then. And I said, okay. I said...
Yeah, because you go, man, I mean, like double time or like anything, something crazy. Like, I want you to come in hot on that thing.
I did. I said, I want you to play something that you'd be like, no, he's never going to like this. Yeah. And I said, I might like it.
Here we go.
And then it's funny because when you sent it to me, I had just come off of but you know Leon Watson, don't you?
Yeah,
Bass player. He used to be, he was like Tracy Lawrence's original bass player. Well, that morning he'd put up a post about, can somebody put up a light bulb? Help me put up a security light.
On the phone. Yeah, you've been on his roof or something like.
I said sure, thinking it was like a floodlight, like a motion sensor light. I get to his house, it's like 3 stories up. I'm like, holy shit, So
listen, Vince, you're gonna have to scale this pole. I don't have any safety gear.
Here's your rappel. What do you call it? A brace.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I had just come off the roof of being up there putting this. I'm scared to death. I'm like thinking I'm going to fall off this roof for about 2 hours, and then you sent me the clip, and I was listening on the way home, and I was like, okay, is he messing with me? Because
I'm not even sure.
At first glance, I was like, is he fucking with me? Because it was so out of the box, and then I listened to it again. I was like, no, You said, all right, I'll let one rip,
Yeah.
and I just fell in love with it, dude. I was driving home, I got the shivers. I mean, I got goosebumps, and I was like, that's what I want. And dude, it came out so good. I just listened to that song over and over again so I can hear your seal.
It's funny, it reminded me of like earlier Brad Paisley records where a lot of the solos are like real crazy, like way rowdy for what like it wasn't commercial at all. And like both Brad and Mike Johnson played a bunch of, what is the one tune where he does like a double time. That's the thing I was
shoot, I know what you're talking about.
It goes, shoot.
Is it me neither?
No, it's look at there. I've got a bite.
No.
Yeah, where it gets in that steel song. It's all double time.
That is very reminiscent of that.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of that. I went, well, I'll do something like that because it was, your tune was kind of that or whatever. Was it like a 6?
It's a waltz, or whatever. And it's funny because the first time I told Dave, I said, I just want something rocking or something different there, And he said, well, it's a ballad, And I said, I know, but
shit.
But it's my record,
Yeah.
But man, I'm so excited. I can't wait to get it out there because
man, it's
it
made me
really
laugh.
cool.
I sent you that. You're like, dude, that's it. I was like, all right.
And you're like, what an idiot.
Yeah. It's like, well, I mean, you tell me to floor it, I'm going to floor it.
It is badass, man. It's killer. I love it. And
oh shoot, man.
Does that when somebody tells you that, do you just go, oh, whatever, and just kind of blow it off, or do you take that to heart when somebody like is really moved by something you do?
Oh, dude, I think it's a great. No, I mean, like, I think I think it's
because it's weird for me. It's kind of hard for me to
talking about doing like sessions in general and like playing on people's records. It's interesting because it's easy to get. To be honest, like I do a lot of overdubs at the house, even for people in town, just because that's kind of that's how everybody works now. Unless it's, especially for overdubbed instruments. If you're a bass player or a guitar player, drummer, like there's still a lot of tracking done, but there's some tracking done with steel. Maybe if it's more traditional, but for most pop things, steel is like something they add while they're mixing because they needed something. I need country music insurance, and which is what I sell. And come to McCree.
I'm your agent, Travis.
Yeah, Travis, do a country music insurance. Anyway,
are you paying too much for your steel guitar tracks?
Yeah, for your steel guitar insurance. Let's get you insured. Insure radio play on country radio. Is your song a rock and roll song? Posing as a country song? Yeah, exactly. Anyway. But no, I mean, like I get, I play on stuff at the house from like master stuff, and I play on like, some guy in Arkansas who just wants steel guitar, and like some of the stuff it's interesting. I play on some stuff that's not great. I mean, like to be blunt, but the interesting perspective I always have on that is, I'll get something, I go, boy, like this track's pretty rough, or there's a lot of stuff out of tune, and I go, you always have to keep in perspective that like whoever that guy is, he's really proud of that. Like as much as it might not be up to like the standards that I'm used to hearing when I'm working on, whatever, a Rascal Flatts record or something. I go, yeah, but it's this guy's really proud of this. And like, he's hired me to do something to make it better for him. And like, I always try to honor that. Like, I think, because I'll run into people that go, oh man, I won't. If I get something bad, I'm not going to play on it. Like it's going to tarnish. It's beneath them, or like it's going to tarnish their reputation. And I go, man, my viewpoint on that is, even if this track is horrible, if I play a good steel part, does that make my steel part bad?
No, it makes the song better.
Maybe somebody hears it and goes, maybe it's literally somebody hears it and goes, God, that song is trash, but the steel is pretty good. I might like to hire that guy. In all seriousness,
that's how it works, man.
His other buddy from Arkansas then starts calling me, So
yeah,
that's the thing, man. I don't. I always try to keep perspective on working on people's music because, for everybody, it's like, it's something they're really proud of, no matter how good or bad it is.
You know what's fun though? When you get like I sing a lot of demos too. I say a lot whenever they
Right.
come in. So those 3 a year that I get. No, but what's fun to me is you'll hear like songs like, oh man, this is just this is not good.
Yeah.
It's not good. And then you go, let's turn it into something really badass.
Yeah, it almost becomes a challenge sometimes.
It does.
For me
And then
to go
when you cut it and you're like, damn, this actually sounds like a song now,
Right, yeah.
And it's funny because a lot of times I'll share the demo with my wife or my kids, and I'll say, listen to this, and they go, oh God, that's pretty bad. And then I said, now listen to what we just did with it, or whatever. And they're like, oh damn, that's actually pretty catchy or whatever, And
and the thing is, it's like if you do that for somebody, they're blown away by it, And
yes,
it seems like it's which is a cool feeling. Yeah, anytime, man, I get
the song I just sent you that sucked, and you made it better.
Yeah, I made it better. That poor bastard.
That'll go down in history.
That thing ain't never gonna do anything. But
you
the
wouldn't
steel
believe the
part's
shit I
good.
played on Vince's song.
It varies, man. I literally play on something from, that's going to be on the radio back to back with something that might be the worst thing I've ever heard, and that's just another day, And it's
all music though. That's
you know what? And it
relative.
all deserves the same attention because it's whoever is on the other end of it. It's something they're proud of, and they're trying to make the
You're
best.
so
they
right,
can make
man.
It. It's easy, man. It's easy to get sort of jaded and just feel like everything sucks. But it's like I said, man, music is such a journey, and not everybody's going to be, we're spoiled being in Nashville because most everybody I know is arguably one of the best in the world at what they do.
Right.
It's like
They're
the people
surrounded
you
by
work,
greatness all the time.
And it's like you get back, to some guys who maybe aren't that good, but they're still passionate. And at the end of the day, man, that's really, God, there's plenty of people on the radio that aren't that good.
Oh yeah,
but maybe they're passionate about it, and it means a
Right.
lot to them. And it's it's hard you can't take that from people just because it's not something that
you like.
Like.
It's kind of like being on Facebook. You don't have to hate somebody just because you don't like what they're what they're doing.
You just got to ignore them.
Yeah, just swipe.
Just
swipe left or right or whatever they do on
Swipe
Grindr or
those
Tinder.
jokers out of there. But no, anyway.
But isn't that cool about this town that because people ask me all the time, like, would you ever move back to Tucson? And I'm like, yeah, I would because it's I'm a desert rat. And I miss the desert. But to be surrounded by, and not to knock any musicians in Tucson at all, but they're just not that good. No.
Well, it's like a town like this. It just draws. It draws all the big fish in a little pond. Like if you're the best player and wherever you're from,
Podunk, whatever.
Huntsville,
town.
Alabama. It's like you're the guy there, and then it's like you move here and you're like. You're just another fish in a bigger pond, what it's like.
But the cool thing is there's 10 other guys that play just as good as you, and then you go, but then you get to play with other bands, that are just as equally as good,
right.
or better or whatever. That makes you better, and I love it here because I get to play with guys that I would never ever get to, and not only that, because the instruments didn't exist,
Right.
fiddle and steel didn't,
the
stuff didn't exist really so much in where I'm from in Arizona, like it does in Texas and here.
They didn't have any knee levers, that's for damn sure.
They should.
The volume pedals.
How about a volume swell?
What?
And I wish I had pictures of that setup, but I bet I don't because it would have been a Kodak moment for sure. I may seriously get another steel. When Hal died, I was gonna buy one of his steels. And
oh man,
what's his name? Zum?
Yeah, Zum steel. Yeah,
Zum had
Bruce Zumsteg.
Yeah, Zum. That's right, Bruce.
Yeah,
he had built a steel for Hal it was beautiful, and but he was building it for Hal for like a jazz record he was getting ready to do. So it had like 18 knee levers and I mean like 30 pedals. I mean it was nuts.
Crazy.
And I was like, I just need 3. I
don't really need knee levers. My
4.
last guitar didn't have them.
Can you take all this crap off?
Take all this crap off.
But it was funny when I talked to him. I said, "Hey, I've got one of Hal's old guitars, and it's just I don't know where to start because knee levers aren't." He said, "Oh man," he said, "Which one do you have? The green one? I think it was like a blue green or something."
So did you actually get it? You got?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, wow.
I got it, and it's kind of a weird story, but I ended up giving it back because I was
Gotcha.
like, "There's nothing I can
I
do
can't
with this
do it,
thing,"
yeah.
But I had called him. He said, "Man, that was a guitar that he wanted specific for this jazz record." He said,
Right.
and every time he'd take it home, he'd be like, I want you to change this lever here. And,
Right.
and he was like, he just, I think he was experimenting,
Work in progress. Yeah.
Right. And so, but God, it was beautiful. And I was like, man, just to have Hal Rugged steel, I would, I probably should have just hung on to it. But I gave it back to his daughter, and I was like, yeah, I just, cause she had basically said, take it, and see if you're going to want it, whatever. So I didn't, there wasn't exchanging any money or anything yet. And so, I was still in Tucson, so I drove all the way over here to pick it up, drove all the way back, and then Bruce was like, well, bring it over to me. I'm like, shit, I just drove 2,400 miles.
That's in Missouri, though, where you're at.
Yeah.
And I'm not there.
I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
So I think I actually flew it back. I think I shipped it back to Hal's daughter or something, and then I never saw it after that. But I think I have one of his slides.
That's cool.
Yeah, that I had gotten. But I've been wanting to get a steel, but I'm like, gosh, dang, I don't. Like you said, we're all on the road normally. When nobody has time to pick up another instrument again or whatever,
man. Boy, you talk about one that's a.
That is a beast. What makes you?
Beast.
What makes people go, I want to play that. I want to learn that. I mean, you said that your
on a dare,
mom kind of dared you, but
no, but I always liked it. I just, like I said, I grew up surrounded by that and watching my dad sit in the living room every night after work and learn solos and play on weekends and stuff, and like it was sort of in my soul,
in your blood already.
Yeah. But I don't know, and it's interesting too, and that honestly, to circle back around the teaching thing, that's what I'm trying to help with is like beginner. Well, teaching all levels, from how to freaking turn the thing on and put strings on it to.
I need to check it out, man.
To everything, but like, it's I think for just a kid to want one like with no without a dad playing or a grandpa playing or something
not having it grown up in the house with them.
Yeah, it's like especially now because unless
not really there anymore in music.
I mean, like the thing for me, I say too, I'm 40, so I was born in 80.
Oh my God, and you're almost dead.
Yeah, I know, I'm almost dead now. I'm
you're halfway there.
A third of the way to 120. It's crazy, man. And doesn't feel like much, but it's a lot. So I started playing when I was 13, so it'd been 93, and country music in the 90s was like, it was like
perfect time to be playing
just a
steel.
carnival of like steel and telly rides and and fiddle rides and all this stuff. So it's interesting. I think as a kid born in that era, like that was the popular music, and the popular music was full of that instrument. So that only that only enforced my desire to want to do it and learn it. But I think it's interesting now because there's no like hot picking or anything on the radio, and like unless a kid, and that's the popular music. So unless a kid has a parent or something who listens to prime country in the car or something or whatever, like the current state of the genre doesn't necessarily influence anyone to want to be like a super picker, which is interesting and like kind of a problem.
It's a very big problem, but we've talked about that on the road a bunch amongst the different artists that I get to work with. It's like nobody is a crooner anymore. No, there's no ballads out there that you just like a Vince Gill crooning song, or whatever, and nobody learns how to sing like that anymore, and nobody learns how to do the fast chicken picking on it's like the hummingbird from stuff like that.
It's like if you call a tune like that, man, it's like on anybody that's any younger.
All you hear is distortion and hammering. No, that's not it.
And stuff. I didn't hear it, man. I don't think that's how I did it. No, I don't know. And honestly, it's not those people's fault. It's like I said, it's just what you're listening to and what you're
what you grew up on. I mean, it's not there. It's not there. Like I said, there was no steel guitar in where I'm from, so I just didn't know about it. But I always heard it and loved it. But man, you're a hell of a damn telly picker too, guitar picker.
Man. It's fun. Again, it's just like that era. I started playing guitar. I don't play as much guitar as I used to. I used to play a lot of guitar in addition to steel, probably not ever equally as much.
Were you doubling up on stuff like you said, Patty Levis? Were you playing guitar too a little bit?
I just on a tune or two, but I've only ever done one gig. I played for Kevin Denny. I played lead guitar for Kevin Denny for a year back in.
Oh my God,
it was really the year that he had success. It was Cadillac Tears.
Yeah,
and, That's Just Jesse and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like I toured. That was that
had to have been like
it was like 02-ish. Yeah, it had to be like 02.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah,
because I remember I used to cover Cadillac Tears.
Yeah, and all that
shuffle.
stuff. Dude, it was great. That whole record was full of stuff. But,
He's a great writer,
that's the only thing I do good on guitar is like the chicken picking thing. And again, that's just because...
Show off.
Well, it's just because, that's what was happening in 90s country.
Yeah.
Like, Brent was just melting every single thing, and I just wound up, wanting to know that stuff and learn it. So I mean, I can't play rock for crap or
I can't either,
like
man.
I'm just a country. I mean, I can swing a little bit, but not much. But the chicken picking thing's the only thing I ever took time to get good at. But so that gig was fun because that's all it was. Like the Kevin Denny gig was just all country guitar.
Was that
like
your first gig, or are you just saying a gig on the guitar?
It was just the only gig I've ever done lead guitar. I've gigged as a steel player on every other gig I've ever.
Who was your first gig with steel?
Brian White was my first
artist. Oh, wow,
artist
that's right.
gig.
I remember that. Oh, my God.
And funny story about that, I saw him, I went and saw him, he opened for, of course I saw Vince too. I saw him and Vince at Rupp, because I'm from Lexington, Kentucky, at Rupp Arena in it had to be like 97, I guess, or
Holy crap.
And loved both of them. Brian's, just one of the greatest singers ever be in
so
town.
You're like 19, 20 or something?
I was 17.
Holy dang.
Because I moved to town when I was 19 in 99.
Dang.
So I saw both of those guys, and it's funny. I just remember thinking, like, watching both of them, and they're both, obviously, Vince is incredible, and Brian's show is incredible, and just going, God, man, if I could, if I could ever work with somebody like that or whatever, 17. And it was funny, Brian wound up being my first gig in town.
That's cool, though. That's cool.
And then I know Vince very well. I've played a bunch with Vince over the years, different things. And Moreno.
Yeah.
Moreno.
Oh, yeah.
Vince Moreno.
I thought you meant, yeah.
No, but it's just, as a kid, like seeing two people and winding up being, it's interesting sometimes the places you find yourself being in this town. Again, just talking about there's so many freaking talented, great people everywhere. Oh,
I tell my wife, I tell her all the time, I was like, back when I was doing this stuff, covering all the songs, and I said, and I've played with like a lot of those guys. Like,
people,
I can text them right now and be like, hey
man, what's going on?
Want to go fishing or something? And they're like, oh, hey, talk to you next week. Or,
isn't that crazy?
And I'm like, it's nuts, man. It blows my mind.
It's like it makes like the teenage, it would have made the 13-year-old like you just giddy and like can't even imagine.
I couldn't even imagine because I remember the first time I met Dwight Yoakam, I was telling my buddy Dave Smith, we were out fishing the other day, and we were just talking about the same kind of stuff. We were talking about like never would have thought that I would play with all these guys that I was covering their songs, and I'd be like, God, I would do anything to play with those guys, and couldn't get a break, back then. But I remember the first time I met Dwight Yoakam, they were filming a little movie in our small town in Arizona. It's called Red Rock West, and it's like Dennis Hopper and Nick Cage, and
I've never even heard of that.
Oh God, it's terrible. And it was funny. Dave was like, I love that movie. I have it on DVD. I'm like, really? You're the one.
I have it on Laserdisc.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's a really like a B movie type of thing.
A lot of people in it, though.
But Dwight was in it. It was like one of his first acting roles, I think.
Okay.
And I was like, man, Hillbilly Deluxe like changed my life back then. Because I mean, Pete Anderson's playing. I try to reflect a lot of his playing.
Yeah.
And so that album was like monumental to me. And so it wasn't that I was a fan of Dwight's voice so much, but the music and everything was just, man, it hit me. So when he was in town. My buddy was like, dude, we got to go stalk him, like see where he's going to be at, on set, but I just remember going like a blubbering idiot, like, can you sign this guitar? Hanging my head down, and he's like, yeah, shit, whatever. Signs it. And then I said, how can you sign this picture too? He's like, and he goes, where the hell did you get this? And I thought, oh my God, I just offended him or something. And he's like, I don't even remember taking this picture, and signs it, and they all right. And it's like, if it would have been, if I would have known now what I know, then I'd be like, so hey man, hey, what's Pete up to, or whatever.
Let me ask you something that matters.
But I was just like flabbergasted, and now I'm like, this town, like you get to be around those people, and they're just normal people. Dwight's not normal.
No, Dwight is not normal.
But this town is so cool in that sense, where, like I said, I can text a lot of people that, you're saying. We're enamored by these people, and you and I are like friends with a lot of them.
Yeah, so it's just crazy that as a and I mean as a culture too, but just as a kid, you look. I mean, I look up. I mean, because I was such a fan of like all the studio players were like my heroes. As a teenager, like Brent. It's like I work with these. I'm in sessions with these guys, and I look around, and like literally everyone in the room is like pretty much a hero of mine on that instrument. It's like,
that's
I go,
too cool,
what
man.
in the hell what am I doing in here? Like.
But Brian, man, dude, that gig, I remember seeing him in Tucson at the Tucson Community Center.
Yeah.
And I think it was him and Leanne Rimes, I think, at the time.
Yeah, that was a killer.
Were you
killer
on
tour.
that?
No, I was after that. Yeah.
Oh, you were after that?
It might have been one of the last tours before I started, actually.
I was going to say, I couldn't remember what year.
It would have been Randall playing steel, probably Randall Curry, who plays for Brad, yeah.
Okay.
Because when when Randall left Brian to go play with a new artist named Brad Paisley, who was doing okay, that's when I took that Brian gig. Yeah, which
I just remember that opened my eyes musically when I saw Brian, because I never went to a lot of concerts.
Yeah,
the first concert I ever went to was Eddie Rabbit in 85, and I was like, that's what I want to do, Mom,
Yeah.
But I just remember Brian White musically blew my freaking mind. That
dude,
band
it'll still blow your mind. If you go listen to those records now, like...
But I mean, the live show was just, the band was like...
It was killer, man.
Killer.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap.
Sang his absolute tail off.
Oh, he did, man. It was awesome. I just remember seeing that going... Oh, I couldn't.
Yeah, dude,
I need to sit right here in Tucson and not go anywhere.
That stuff. It's funny. Like a lot of his catalog, it's still this way. I go do like acoustic. I'll go play dobro or something with him.
Oh yeah.
Regularly, a couple times a year or something. And I always have to go, even though I did that gig and like I'm so familiar with that material. Dude, there's some of those songs have some crazy changes in them. Like they go.
Oh, like
that. I mean,
pretending and
dude, like.
They used to cover a lot of that stuff.
All over the place.
I love it.
What, like, what was the
Love Her? Which one's that one?
The one that's one of his first tunes. Look at me now.
Oh yeah,
dude, that song goes everywhere. Like it makes you're like what? And it's funny you hear that stuff. And you go, oh yeah, I know that song. And then you go, oh, I don't know this freaking thing at all. Like what just happened? Like every time I do those with him, I have to take an hour or two and go, what are we doing? Okay. Oh yeah, that's what that does. Like I have to listen to it again, especially on dobro because it's like I'd be better off on steel, but like Dobro's a little tougher to cover some of that stuff on. I'm like, where is this going?
His number charts was like somebody was doing their taxes.
It's like, they're just changing key all over the place.
Well, that was what made him so, I think, stick out when he came out because the songs were so different like that. But I used to do Sitting on Go and So Much for Pretending and. We used to do Eugene. You remember that too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Eugene, you genius.
What is it?
Shit, I don't even remember it now.
I don't remember the lyrics to it, but stupid song.
Yeah, but it was fun though.
That one.
But Pretending, man. When I used to open up for shows in Tucson, like, a concert come in or whatever, I'd open up, we'd always kick off at that.
That's a good, that's a great one, man.
People be like, yeah! And then, okay, we're going to do the chair now.
Here's a little tune called The Chair.
Here's something we're going to rock your faces off with, the dance.
Brace yourselves. That gig was super fun, man. Again, that was like my first, that was the first experience I had of like, I'm freaking playing with this guy. I saw this guy at Rupp, in like 97, and like it was like an unreachable, unattainable dream, to like.
Who'd you go on to from there?
From there, I went to, I think, Kevin.
Okay.
And then I played with Steve Warner for about 6-7 months, also at the same time, and then.
Well, on steel?
Yeah, on steel.
Because he's got guitar covered.
Yeah, he's got guitar pretty well covered. Dude, that gig was fun. It was.
He's such a nice.
That's probably
dude,
the most like fun picking gig I've ever. I mean, it was just not, Crash Course and Blues and all that stuff, man.
I met him like one time.
He's such a nice guy, man.
He's a sweetheart of a guy, man.
And it's funny. So I'll tell you this story. So his son Ryan, who's Apple fell off the tree. He's an incredible guitar player, Ryan Warner. So Ryan is a couple years younger than me. So when I was playing with Steve, I was 22 or something when I was playing with him. And so Ryan was maybe like 5 years younger than me or something. Ryan was in his teens to like, he's probably 16, 17 or something at the time. Mm-hmm. So we're down, and he was just hanging out. He'd just get on the bus and go, ride for the weekend.
Sure.
And
hang out with Dad.
Yeah, hang out with Dad. And we were in Austin. We're playing at like the governor's inauguration or something, and doing this gig. And like during the day, me and Ryan are sitting on the bus doing whatever, and Steve comes up and goes, "Hey, you guys want to go over to Eric Johnson's house?" So for people that aren't guitar players, Eric Johnson is like,
a rock god.
A rock guitar hero guy to many, many guitar players. Yeah. And at the time, Ryan was like in total Eric Johnson like phase. I mean, he was like, "You're shitting me. Like, we're going to go to Eric Johnson's house." And like Steve knew Eric, I guess, through Chet or something. They'd done a few things. Yeah. And so So we go, we're like, hell yes, we want to go see Eric, like go visit Eric Johnson. We're going to the studio, right? He's like, yeah. So, dude, and Ryan could say the same story. I'm not making this up. So we go, we can't go to Eric's house because there's only like one guy that knows where Eric lives. It's like trying to get to like the president or something right? So we go to this music store. And where there's like a shifty go-between us and like Eric, like, even though we're with Steve Warner, right?
Like
Steve's not famous enough to like get to Eric, right? There's no
like
way.
You're buying crackers,
dude. So I Spence, I'm not making this up. There's this guy comes out with like this big burly. He's like, "Oh yeah, you guys need to go over to Eric's." We're like, "Yeah." He goes, "All right, come with me." So I swear to God,
put bags over your head.
I swear to God, we got in a van with no windows. I'm not making it up. It was like it's probably just a box van for the music store. But I remember getting in going, like,
this is our last ride.
This is it. So we get in, like, the third row. There's no windows. Like, we drive across town somewhere and no shit, turn through just some trees. There was like not even a road. Like at some point it was like a bat cave entrance. Like we go through some trees, right? And then all of a sudden like this field opens up and there's this random house like in this field. Huge, man, like a big house, big, huge studio attached to it. So we get out of the van and the guy just stays in the van, like as if he's not allowed to leave the van or something, like he's the handler. So we get out and we walk in and Eric knew Steve was coming, like he, talked to him. And so we walk in and it's this huge, like, it's like an octagon shaped like room. So the other disclaimer is Eric is known to be like, what's the word? Eccentric was a great word. And he, he's got these little audios about him and stuff. And I'd never experienced any of that because I didn't know him. But you hear stories, that he can like tell the difference in like the brand of batteries and pedals and like all this stuff.
And just genius kind of weird stuff.
Yeah, like genius, crazy genius stuff. So we go in and it's like this octagon or hexagon room or something like, and there's identical guitar rigs like set up on each corner of this room, like square. And we walk in. And he had to know we walked in, but he didn't acknowledge us at all. Like no acknowledgement, and like we stand there for like 10 minutes and watch him walk around to like each of these identical guitar rigs and like plug into it, tweak a couple things, and then kind of like shake his head no, like he's dissatisfied with it, like pull the cord back out, like
a sound check.
Like mess with a battery, mess with a few things, and then like. No kidding, like 10 minutes of that. We just watched this happen, right? And him plug in, play. And then finally he looks up as if he didn't know we were there, Oh, hey, guys.
My God.
Hey, guys. So we were like, oh, hey, man. So we and like I'd never met him. I think Ryan had met him through his dad previously. Like, hey, nice to meet you. And he took off like like everybody that knows Eric Johnson. He has this 54 Strat that's like the one that he plays, on like Cliffs of Dover and all that stuff.
Dover,
Takes it off, hands it to me and goes, hey, you want to check this guitar? I'm like, yeah, man. yeah, I'll play it. And like I play it for a minute and I'm just kind of like flipping out, man. Like I'm standing here like playing this 54 Strat, it's Eric's guitar, and like I take it off and I hand it back to him and he sits it in like one of those, like the cheapest possible guitar stand you could ever get at Guitar Center. Like it's the $14 guitar stand that like is like the tube has like the the yellowish like tube, surgical tube like on the thing so you can scratch the guitar and there's one for the headstock, and he takes the guitar from me, sets it in this thing, and dude, it just starts falling over like it's not tightened or anything, and I jump and like grab it and he's like not even, he's like, oh yeah, thanks man for whatever. I'm like, dude, this is your 54. Like he haphazardly puts it in this thing, and I tighten it up and like make sure it's like check it. I'm like, yeah, it's secure, and like put the thing.
Of all the things he would anal about was
So he's like, hey, let me play you guys some stuff. So we go into like the control room in the studio, and he plays us like 3 or 4 tracks that we might be the only people that have ever heard him, like unreleased extra things that he recorded on the IV, a Musicom record, which is the one that has Cliffs of Dover and all this stuff on it.
Oh, really?
And they were pretty cool. And then like he plays the stuff and we chat for a minute and then he just stops talking. And like, he's
just kind of sitting there.
Like we just stood there for a good like 2-3 minutes, like in silence, like full, like waiting for anyone, and like, and then and Steve's like, all right, man, we're going to head out, That was it. That was the whole, sorry, that's a long-winded story, but for any like guitar players who listen to this thing. And so I've told that story for years. And so this is 5 or 6 years ago. I see Ryan somewhere And randomly at a gig, he was playing with, I think, Jewel or somebody. I saw him, God, of all places, like Flats had a gig in the Bahamas or something. We go down there and it's this festival, and like Jewel's on it, and I'm in the lobby and I see Ryan. I'm like, hey man, what's going on? And I had just been telling that story to like someone who was with me, and I had no idea, and I'm like, dude, I was just telling this guy the Eric Johnson story, and he goes, oh man, he goes, it's the craziest thing. He goes, I remember stuff all the time that, like, there was so much visually to take in the room, like, no one person could remember all the weird details that were happening in this room. Yeah. He brought up something that I had forgotten, which was, I swear it's not made up. And as soon as he mentioned it, I remembered. At each of those guitar stations, there was just, like, a pile of Cheerios on the floor. I swear to God.
What?
I swear to God. Where he just, like, kind of dip his hand in and, like, grab a Cheerio or two, like, while he was, like, doing his thing.
Did it spill over?
Dude, it was like little piles, like he was feeding a rabbit or something.
The Cheerios was over.
And he goes, dude, you remember that? I was like, no, I forgot, but now that you mentioned it, I remember
that. Makes the story more weird.
Dude, it was so weird, yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, Eric Johnson.
And this was outside of Austin?
Yeah, it was at the time. I guess he still lives there, but yeah, it was somewhere in Austin. Yeah,
I never knew he lived there, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, why would I?
Yeah, no, unless you know that one guy, the handler at the music store. Yeah.
Yeah, the bouncer at the music store.
You'd never be able to get there, but
I'll just look for a van with no windows.
Crazy story. But
that could be you should write an instrumental song and call it The Van with No Windows or some shit. Yeah. That'd be funny.
So Steve for a while, I played with Steve, and then I played with Patty Loveless, which was an awesome gig.
She's such a great singer.
Yeah, it was crazy. I did that gig in 2003 and then into 2004, and man, I tell you what was tough. So I started playing with Flats in like fall of 2004, and I was still playing with Patty. I had to quit Patty to go do that gig. And man, in 2004, Patty was part of this thing. It was the Opry, I think they called it the Opry Roadshow, but basically just the Grand Ole Opry toured that year. And it went like they bought the whole, like the barn, like the whole set, like it just toured, and like we played all the big arenas, and like it was Patty, Vince was the headliner on it, Gil, not Moreno, Vince Neil. Vince Neil was the headliner. No, Vince Gill was the headliner, and and then Patty, we were support. I think Dell Mccree band and Rebecca Lynn Howard, and
another great singer.
Yeah, dude, she's incredible. But so. The cool thing about how Vince sort of ran it was like we did our sets, and then he did his set, but then like towards the end of his set, like he just had everybody come out on stage, like from every band, and just freaking play. And like we played like a 16-minute version of Liza Jane, with like
everybody jamming.
Everybody took like 4 solo, like from every band, it was awesome. And that was like, pinch me moment, like being on stage playing that sub events and sitting next to I think JD Manis was playing steel with him at the time. It was the first time I ever met JD. And, so, another like giddy kid moment for me. But the other cool thing that was happening on that was Dell Mccree band. So they did a set, but then Vince also did a bluegrass set in about mid part of his show. And Dan Tominski was out with Vince singing background. So Dan did all the Oh Brother, Where Art Thou stuff, which was like so hot. I mean, that movie had just come. It was like early 2000s that movie came out. Yeah. Like, dude, I mean, he'd kick into Man of Constant Sorrow, and it was like the biggest song of the night, literally of anything. And so I got to play dobro on that stuff. So
did you really?
Yeah. So it was like I was doing a bluegrass set with Vince and Dell Mccree band and Dan Tominski, and me playing dobro and going, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, why am I up here? But
where's my volume pedal?
Yeah. Where's my volume pedal and my knee levers? But I got to play all Jerry Douglas, all that stuff. And dude, I can't find a single picture, video, nothing. It's like it didn't happen. It's crazy. It was just right before everything was filmed on cell phones.
I was going to say, nobody you could do selfies back then.
Nothing, yeah. And so that was crazy. But that thing was still going when I got called to audition for Flats, and like, that was such an amazing like musical experience every night, like the opera thing that I was going.
Oh my gosh, I can't even.
Oh my God, I was like, boy, I don't want to leave this, but I probably should and like do this Flats thing. But like I said, it turned out okay. But that was a tough one. That was hard to leave. I was really questioning like if I was doing the right thing, because musically speaking, it was like fulfilling. Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, like Patty's gig was unbelievable. It was all steel and like.
So you had to have played my favorite, probably maybe one of my favorite girl songs is "Lonely Too Long."
Yeah.
I love that too,
dude. Man. She's the most soul. God, she's one of the great like female vocalists.
She so is, man.
She's that mountain soul thing in her, man.
I hate that she's still not. I mean, I know she's still recording, but like still out, you know.
Yeah,
out there
her
relevant.
husband Emery Gordy Jr., who's a great
Oh yeah.
legendary producer. I think Emery got into some health problems, and I think she just
really?
she just got off the road to try to take care of him, and everybody's getting older. I think she's, you know, obviously made her money and probably doesn't have to work and is happy hanging out. They got a beautiful big like farm thing in Georgia that's.
Oh really? She don't even live here, huh?
Now she lives in south of Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, I just always love that tune. So.
But oh yeah, man. I mean, that was, you know, it's funny being like I said, it was funny on all these gigs that I did previous to Flats. Like I pretty much already knew all the Patty Loveless stuff on Stills. Like it was the stuff I learned, you know, like Brian's stuff I already knew, you know, Vince's stuff I already knew. Yeah. It was like, you know, I didn't have to do much research for any of those gigs.
That's funny,
man.
Like
it's making sure of a thing or two and going, I kind of already know all this stuff. Like, this is awesome.
That's like with Aaron and Sammy. I go out there and Colin and like, or Daryl Worley too, and then Tracy Lawrence. And I'm like, well, hell, I've done half of your shit on my own, you know, my own gig. So this ain't going to be much rehearsal time for me, you know, because I'm pretty much
I know Texas Tornado. Yeah, I know it. Of course.
No, I didn't write it.
I didn't write it, but yeah.
You want me to sing it?
Yeah, I can sing it, Tracy.
But it's true. It's like all that stuff that I grew up playing and covering. And now, like I said, now I've worked with half of those guys. I'm like,
it's so wild, man.
That's awesome, man.
It is awesome. And like I try, like I said, it's easy to like get in this town and get sort of jaded by it. But God, sometimes you just got to step back and go, I mean, we really are. Even in this year, it's like I'm still, you know, I mean, there's guys that give everything to be able to live here and interact and, you know, work with all these people that we do. And it's like, you know, I never try to take it for granted because it's, as this year has shown, it can stop at just about any time.
You know, it's easy though. I mean, I don't know if you call it taking for granted or not, but you get in the flow of things, and then, you know, like me, like last couple of years, I just like, man, I just don't know if I want to travel anymore. I don't want to be gone. I'm tired of being gone. I'm tired of, you know, getting up at 5 a.m. to catch a flight just to fly all day, to, you know, to get in a rental car. You know, all that stuff was wearing on me.
It does seem like work at a certain point, like anything. If you do enough of anything, even if you're having fun doing it, it's
I mean, you go through all of that to get to play music for, you know, 75 minutes out of So you maybe play 3 hours of music out of a whole run for a week, you know, and it's like, damn, man, that's so it was kind of wearing on me, and I was sitting down one day with Sammy Kershaw's keyboard player, and he said, man, when I get like that, I just always think there's somebody out there that just killed to be in our shoes right now.
That's true.
And I go, yeah, that's a great perspective, but I still miss my kids, you know.
But it's still work,
But I mean, and it's true. And it's sometimes when I think, like, start feeling sorry for myself, being like, oh man, I got to go and leave for 2 weeks. And I think, I remember when I wanted to do this.
Right.
I remember when I was like, I'd give anything to get on a tour bus, you know.
Right.
And so but it is easy to.
It's very easy,
to get, and it's like wears on you, man.
It's easy to be in these situations and not even really grasp like the gravity of how great it is until you look back later, you know. It's like,
or somebody will message me and be like,
dude, I can't believe you're on it, and you're like, oh yeah, and it's like you were just not even, you know what I mean. It's like it's easy to underestimate like how much that stuff means to people, you know. And like, and how much,
somebody be like, I can't believe that. So do you really know like Daryl Worley? I'm like, yeah, I was supposed to deer hunting with him. Like, so what? Next question, you know, whatever. But then I think back, like, man, I remember the day where I'd have been like, I can't.
Yeah,
can I get your autograph? You know,
Daryl will punch me if I talk to him. He's big. I'm scared of him.
He will. Back in his younger days, he's got a bad back now, so you just hit him in the back, and he'll go down like a sack of taters.
Sack of taters, tall taters.
The cool part of it is a lot of it is finding out most of them are pretty decent people. You know, there's a few of them that are. Well, I didn't have to meet him, you know, but you know, to work with the good ones, you know, that's pretty cool. And
it's super cool, man.
Most all of them are actually our talent. I mean, from that 90s group, there wasn't really any, like you say, like now, like, oh man, that guy couldn't sing on the radio, you know, but most of them.
Yeah, all those guys.
Most of them could.
I'd say it used to always like blow me away about, you know, like Patty and Steve and even Vince. But like, I remember, you know, like working with Patty and Vince or Patty and Steve. I never toured with Vince. I've just done some stuff randomly with him here and there. But touring with Patty and Vince, it's just a different era of like, not even talent, but just like
quality.
Just quality. But like, for instance, like, you know, we could be on a gig like with Patty, and like her friggin' monitor would go out or something, and like literally still singing tune. Like it didn't matter. It didn't even matter if she could hear herself or not. Like it's the same thing. Like people now are like, oh, I can't. If they don't have perfect ear mix, like they're pitchy, or maybe they're pitchy anyway. But like, but it's like all of a sudden they don't even know what key in.
And they can't do the show.
It's just a different level of like, just I don't know, like.
Well, there's a different level of professionalism. There's a different level of
just having paid the dues too, and like experienced all those things before. It's like nothing's ever. The same thing with Steve. We'd play with Steve, and like something crazy happened. Like his, same thing. His wedge would go out or something, and like you wouldn't know it. Like he'd. But you'd sing better with it off, half the time. You go, man, it's just crazy.
That's like it.
I'll tell one funny story about working with Steve. We were playing this. One of the rodeos. It wasn't Houston, maybe in San Antonio. One of them down there where it's a spinning stage. The stage.
Oh yeah. It could have been Houston or San Antonio.
Yeah, I think it wasn't Houston. I think it was San Antonio because it was a smaller. Houston's the bigger one, and we were playing, and I was sitting on my steel was set up sort of like towards the edge ish of it's a circle stage for people that don't know. You go do these rodeos and like this, you're playing in these arenas and they'll put the stage in the middle and it's a circle and it's motorized. So you start playing and the thing starts spinning, not fast, very slowly, but it's just so, makes a 360 experience for the fans there. But so anyway, and they're always like a mud dirt pit. Oh yeah, you play those things the next day. You have to like you gotta clean, all your stuff.
Clean your nostrils and
all your stuff's covered in dust and dirt and stuff. But anyway, so we get this. We're about halfway through this show, and I going, man, is this thing speeding up? Like I'm looking over like I think Jimmy Mattingly, somebody was playing fiddle, and I'm like mouthing to him. I'm like, are we speeding up? Like I'm kind of out, and he's like, I think so. It's like he's standing, like his stance is starting to get kind of wider.
Yeah, like he's got to brace himself.
Yeah, he's bracing himself, and like I'm going, dude, like, and I'm kind of looking, and like I look down, and like the guys that are running the thing, they're in a box, like pulling like it's malfunctioning.
You see their eyes are all wide open.
They're like they're trying to figure out how to stop it, and they can't stop it or get it to slow down. Like there's guys pulling plugs, and like somehow it's like continuing to go right. And dude, it gets to going where like I'm starting to lean. Like I'm sitting in my I'm sitting in my steel seat, and I'm like I'm starting to like lean this way to like to keep from like going out. And dude, we were playing I think like Crash Course in Blues was like this fast like picking song, all these solos, like 10 minutes of solos in this thing. I get into my first one, and all of a sudden the thing also develops like this severe bump, like something was just falling apart. Like, it's like we hit a deer once a time ever around. Dude, it hit this thing, and it hit so hard, and we were going so fast, my bar just flew out of my hand like mid-solo, and I'm like, and I look, and I can see it like rolling towards it, so I get up, I like jump it. This is all like spotlight on me, mid-solo. I jump up out of my steel seat, I like run around and like halfway dive to like get my bar before it rolls completely off
in the dirt.
And dude, those guys just crying, laughing, man. Like I'm just running around with a spotlight on me, like diving on stage. The stage is just hauling ass.
I can picture the bar just rolling as you're trying to
I get it, and I get back around. I sit down and play like 2 notes, and then the solo's over.
The best you've ever played.
Dude, they finally, those guys just laughing their asses off, and I finally they get the stage like stopped. Dude, it got to where we were like starting to pull G's, man. Like we're all tilting, It's like, what is going on?
Dang.
Dude, it was like...
I thought those things were governed. They couldn't go fast, Apparently not.
They look over, it's like smoke coming out of the controller box. Guys are panicking, pulling plugs and stuff.
It's like they need the guy like, what's the guy, Professor Back to the Future? Great Scott!
Great Scott! Yeah, it's like, holy shit, this thing's out of control.
Damn.
Yeah, funny. Anyway.
I just remember we were I think it was a San Antonio stock and rodeo show or whatever, and they had, I think it was Toyota at the time was sponsoring it, and they'd bring the truck out, and so they'd bring it and they parked it outside there. This was with Neil McCoy. Yeah. They parked it to the side of the stage, and we're on that spinning thing, and he's running around the freaking arena, the dirt, and he's doing his thing and running around, and he decides to get up on this truck, and it gets up on the roof. And it's during the song, he's standing on the cab of it, and he's just stomping his feet. Boom, down the city, put the country at clown, stop, and then he gets down.
Dude, I bet
that cab was just caved in. And so instead of getting mad at him, because people were going ape shit, instead of getting mad at him, I think the people had him sign it.
Just and they like,
they like raffled it or something off. Like who wants the truck that Neil McCoy banged up?
Devastated roof area of this truck.
And then I remember our
like,
road
watch
manager,
your head when you get in this thing. There's just a low ceiling in here.
Provided by Lou Casey. But and that same show, I think it was the road manager was running around trying to take pictures, and those stages have the kind of those big legs that stick out to brace it, and he bit it, man. He was taking a picture and we just we're sitting there playing, and we just all lost it, and he was so mad that we were laughing, But it was in front of all what 20,000
those are high
people.
too, man. There's like no good way to get back up.
No,
it's like you got to go around and walk of shame back around to the stairs to get back up.
It was just those are crazy, and the funny part is they got to roll them out like with a tractor.
I know, yeah.
You set up during the day and then they roll it back out, and amongst all the cow shit and everything else that's going there, and it's like, yeah, this is fun because you're so far away from the crowd too. It's not like you get to interact.
It's weird. Sometimes they'll throw a couple of rows of folding chairs and like put like high rollers.
You see them all running out to the thing. It's like, I don't know.
You're like quarter of a mile away from the audience. In the middle.
How y'all
of
do tonight? I think I see you.
Yeah.
But is there man, I'm sure just playing with Rascal Flatts for so many years, you probably experienced a ton of just great memories and stuff. But is there, obviously you've played the Grand Ole Opry, there's a lot of like highlights that certain people work up to. Is there something that you haven't done that you think like, man, I would still really want to do,
Man, this is a random one, but because we've done,
I'm
just
sure.
about every show or thing you can do. And we never did Saturday Night Live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like for whatever reason, I just grew up watching Saturday Night Live and like watching the musical guests and all that stuff. And like, we never did that one. Man, I can't think of a show. Honestly, and that's a sort of a running joke like between me and a couple guys. Like, because we're never going to wind up on there, and I'm sure we won't at this point. But like,
that is. That's a great answer though, because I would have never.
Yeah.
Anybody I asked that to, they go, well, I never got to, play with so-and-so, and I've always admired him or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, you've pretty much covered it all, but Saturday Night Live, you loser. You never even played Saturday Night Live.
You never played Saturday Night
God,
freaking live. Loser.
What's weird about...
I know that might be a random answer to you, but like,
great answer.
Because... honestly, like on that gig, I've just done stuff I never would have imagined, but like that's the one thing I went, God, it'd be cool to play Saturday. Oh, you know what? Another show, because I'm this just showing I'm just grew up watching those shows, watching the musical guests on Saturday Night Live. Another one I've never done that I would love to do is,
Hee-Haw?
Hee-Haw, obviously. I think that goes without saying.
Right.
Oh, shoot. What's the one that films in Austin?
Austin City Limits.
Austin City Limits.
Yeah, never. You really want to play it. That's so bad.
Yeah.
That's why they never called you. You don't know the name of
it. Listen, you can only play this show if you can tell us what the name of it is.
It sounds like.
It sounds like Boston Pops. No. Austin City Limits, you lose.
You'll never play this show, kid.
You'll never play this show.
And I know the guys at Saturday Night Live, so that ain't happening either.
Yeah, we'll call them. We'll get them on the horn. Make sure you don't do that one. That's another one. Those two shows for me are just the ones that I watched. God, I used to love Austin City Limits and watching.
I can't say that I've done either one of those either. Yeah. But most of the people I've worked with, I've come on the gig after their prime has already been, I missed out on a lot of that cool stuff. Like, we used to private planes and, and all that shit. And I'm like,
that must have been very nice for you.
Can I hear some more really cool stories about that?
Yeah, no, like the thing, the reminiscent thing about the Flats gig is, I started in 2004, which was their first headlining tour. And then, just to talk about that gig for a second, it just exploded into, like in 2006, like that Me and My Gang record was the biggest selling record in the world. I think any genre. It was crazy. I remember we played like Good Morning America the morning it came out, or maybe the morning after it came out, and dude, like in the first day, it almost went play. It sold like 980,000 copies in one day. And I was like, man. God, man, like, and that's like unheard. Nobody. Just people just don't buy records anymore. But even then, it was like, wow. And I tell you what was interesting too about being on that gig. So that was 2006. And as far as live and popularity was going, it was continuing upward. I mean, dude, it was huge tours, just like 2007, 2008, 2009. Yeah, it was just crazy, crazy big crowds and stuff. And interesting thing was, though, like, I didn't even realize it in the moment, but looking back, the next record that came out, I think, was maybe It Still Feels Good or something, which was put out again. I mean,
did you play on any of those?
Yeah, I played on at least one thing on, I think, all of them. The last couple records I played all of them. The last record I played all the steel.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
It was cool. They usually get the band in, or we'd do some like bonus tracks, or I'd usually wind up
That's
doing
really cool of
a
them
song
to
or
do that,
two.
though.
Yeah,
because most of the time all these guys use just the same studio guys every time.
Yeah,
so.
it was cool. There's a song called "Backwards" on that Me and My Gang record, which is like kind of it's what you get if you play a country song backwards. It's a really silly song, but it's actually fast, like pick and tune.
Oh, like getting your dog back.
Yeah, get your dog back, all that stuff.
I remember hearing that song.
Yeah, but that's the band. Nice. Yeah, it's got a cool steel writing I played and all this stuff. But
well, I'll listen to it and let you know.
Yeah, you let me know. It might not be. You'll probably call me and go, listen, I'm going to need a little bit more out of the box. It's a little too commercial.
Wow,
maybe like what you did on Whiskey for Two. Think that way. But anyway, that record came out. The next one after that, and I remember it was like first day sales were like still astronomical looking back, but it was only like 700,000 copies. And I went, only. That's weird, because they were more popular than they were the last time, but it was already the effect that was taking place of like iTunes existing and all these things where like people were starting to not buy physical records, like. And then I watched that continue. It was like popularity was going up, and actual sales, like of physical sales anyway, were like already like going down, and like they were like crossing paths. I was going, it doesn't even make any sense. Like I didn't understand at the time what was even happening.
It's still hard to put your brain around.
It's still hard to put your brain around.
Really?
But yeah, that gig was, it's cool, man. It was neat to get on one and really ride it to like the very top, of like.
Be there at the top.
Yeah, and like
I've yet to be able to do that.
And then we're just certainly on the back side of it now, even though they're still popular. But
man, I remember when I was out there with Neil McCree. I mean, that was the first gig I got to really experience. My first artist gig, and experience a lot of stuff. Because he still plays all the big festivals and fairs,
Country Thunders and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, and I remember we were at. It might have been Country Thunder or like what's the one in Ohio, Country Concert in the.
The one that's like right on the border between like West Virginia and Ohio. Is that what you're talking about?
That's Jamboree.
Oh, that's Jamboree in the Hills.
No, there's another one. I think it was Country in the Hills or something.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It was a big one. I don't remember exactly what, but I remember Taylor Swift was on it. That's because I remember Banjo Ben. We were just talking about him. Yeah. He was out there playing banjo with her, but I had met him. He was with Craig Morgan before that, playing piano.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, it was Neil. Taylor Swift she wasn't Taylor Swift yet. She was pretty getting there though.
Yeah.
And then y'all, and I don't remember. There was somebody else on the bill, but I just remember that there was just a ton of buses on this one side, right? And so our road manager, somebody come up and he's like, "Man, they got like 18 buses and like 36 trucks, or it was
something crazy."
And we were like, what the hell? That's stupid. What do you need all that shit for? Blah, blah. And we're just like talking down about it, and then they're like, well, each one of the guys, they all have their own bus, and then they have an empty one where if they just want to go hang out. Is that true? Did they have an empty one where if they just wanted to congregate?
No, that's not true.
Yeah. Oh,
no.
See?
The only time the only tour where it was anything that even remotely resembled that was when Coors Light was a sponsor. There was a Coors Light bus. But that was Coors' bus, but it was essentially empty. It was just a place to like.
That must have been what they were talking about, because they were like, "There's an empty bus where everybody wants to congregate."
We never maintained like a bus that was just empty. No.
Oh yeah, because they're like there was a lot.
There was a lot of tour, like actually quite a few years where whoever the tour, if it was Coors or State Farm Insurance or whatever, a lot of times they would
just to have it wrapped.
They would have a bus wrapped and whatever.
But that's when you're big, dude. When you got more than one bus, when you got more than two, you're
like the biggest like production tour was probably like 2009 or something, and I think we had 23 semis.
That probably was when that was.
Well, it's funny because one of the ones. That was because we probably headlined that night, and Taylor, that was probably the second time Taylor was out with us. She was out 2 different times. The second time, it's funny, like you said, the first time she was out, she was crazy green. Like she had like the Tim McGraw song on, and that was it. And she was in like the baby opener, one of
the
3 spots. And she, we were all going, she wasn't singing very good. And like, she's just super green, didn't know what to do on stage or anything. And it was funny, that was like, I think 2006, and then 2008, I think is the second year, which is probably when the year you're talking about.
It had to have been then because that was
she was out in like the middle slot, and it was interesting. Like God, how much she had changed in like 2 years, and she was starting like you could see it in the crowd, man.
The
like,
superstar,
the superstar thing. Like it's interesting about Taylor. She's got that. She's got like that quality that. actually not very many people have.
Like that Garth thing.
That Garth thing where it's like I can't even explain what it is. People are just drawn to them like for some unexplainable reason. It's got nothing to do with their singing, anything. It's like this like an
aura magic they got
it's
around.
like this magnetism. People are just freaking drawn to him, and she's got that in spades, and it was really starting to show that second time. So what you were, it was like, boy, I'd look at the crowd reaction to her, and people were just flipping out, man. And it was like, wow, this is.
I just watched that Garth thing on Netflix, and I didn't realize it was. I guess it's already a year old or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Dave. We were fishing this morning. I said, man, I think his gift mostly wasn't so much because he goes, wasn't his singing,
No.
And he says, no, he's a pretty good singer.
He's okay singer, but he's not the best singer ever.
No, but it's like I think his ability to make you feel like you're like he really cares about what you're fixing to say to him, that genuine thing. And I said, I think that's what really got him to where he's at because he would sign on it.
In, man.
Yeah, and I don't know. I always thought kind of like when watching him talk stuff and he's crying and everything. I thought, God, what? That's that's so fake and everything. And I thought. Then I was watching last night going, well, I'm a pretty easy crier myself. I cry a lot. If I get mad, I'm crying. If I get sad, I'm crying. If I get really happy, I'm crying. I mean, I cry when you sent me that thing of your track. I was like, I did, dude. I was like, oh man, this is awesome. This is awesome. So then I thought, well, shit, I guess I can't call him down too much for being a crier because I'm the same damn way.
It's funny. Everybody I know that works for him says he's just the best guy in the world. I had not met him or worked. I was the wherever that was, the 50th anniversary of the CMA. Somehow I was in the house band for that, playing steel. But it was really cool because we backed to Garth and Trisha, back to Alan. I got to play Remember When, the Lloyd Green solo out of that.
Oh, yeah.
Played George. All these people were like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm playing with all these people.
Yeah.
It was all like in one show, I was like, wow, this is awesome. But Garth and Trisha were doing, what were they doing?
That duet they did?
The duet,
I can't think of it either.
The Johnny Cash and... anyway, the intro...
The fast one? I'm going to Jackson.
Going to Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they were doing. That, and then I think they also did, it was a medley, and it was like, there was a lot of... Dude, the medley was kind of crazy. Like, there was all these tempo changes and, like, count-ins and, like... Dude, if you didn't get it, I mean, you were kind of hosed. And, like, he was struggling a little bit in the run-through. And it was just cool because I was just on the front and, I said, hey, man, because he didn't come in right one time and like we stopped and he was trying to figure out and I said, hey, man, you good? Like, can I help you figure out where? And he's like, yeah, what is the, he was just a super
like
nice guy. Yeah, just one. I said, man, it's
just
like,
normal.
if you listen to like what Paul was like counts, like when you hear that, I was like 2 counts and then start singing. He's like, okay, yeah, I can do it. And like, it was just a cool interaction. And like, he was.
So you basically paved the way for Garth Brooks.
For his success on that show. Yes, correct. But it was cool. Yeah. Him and Trish were both super sweet.
I just thought watching that documentary, I thought, man, how real of that is for him to just go, all right, I'm done with this shit so I can raise my kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't get more real than that, man. That is not fake right there.
Yeah. No, he's.
Because I get that. And I can't even imagine the stardom that he had back then, when he pulled out. I'm like, oh my God.
He's right at the high. Yeah. Did you see the announcement he made today? Speaking of...
Oh, no, I didn't.
Did you see that? So
is he dropping his last name to not offend anybody?
Yeah, he's dropping Antebellum out of it was Garth Antebellum Brooks. No, he just announced today, I just saw it right before I came over here, that he's doing this thing where he's going to stream a live concert at 300 drive-in theaters across the country.
Oh, live. I saw somebody comment or somebody put up a post. I want to see Garth at a drive-in. I thought, what are they talking about?
That's what he's doing. It's like essentially a pay-per-view.
Dude, he's a trendsetter, man.
Dude,
I mean,
I actually texted Joe and I said, why aren't we all doing this right now?
No doubt.
So we'll see how it goes. And like, dude, it's a great freaking idea.
Oh my God.
And I've heard people actually discussing doing it over the last month or two, some different people. And but yeah, he's doing it's like 300 drive-ins and it's $100 a ticket to go.
That's nuts.
Dude, it's gonna make so much. I mean,
but that's the kind of shit.
I know, man.
That's why he is who he is, man.
The thing is too, he's got the. It's like he'll sell it out. Like not everybody could do that,
right? You have to have the name for that.
You got to be just crazy megastar to pull it off. But like, pretty interesting. Yeah,
Dude,
I think it's coming up. It's at the end of this month. I think.
mean,
yeah.
What do you do after Central Park? After you get a million people in Central Park, well, let's do drive-ins.
Yeah, let's do
a live stream.
Let's do drive-in.
Facebook live stream.
Dude, he's an idiot. If he doesn't
it ain't the Moreno Mansion, but
if he doesn't have Sonic sponsor it, he's totally missing out, man. Totally missing.
Or
the
over
ball.
Redenbacher or some shit. That's nuts.
Popcorn provided by Orville Redenbacher.
That's genius, though, man.
Get popped Sunday.
Yeah. But I mean, like in that documentary too, it shows there's one part where the tour manager was like, man, he had this idea of renting helicopters and staggering them over each other to show one showing the show through the blades of the other one.
Right.
It's like, who thinks of that shit?
Does
You know what I
that,
mean?
you
That's I guess where his genius comes through.
It's going to be another $80,000 for that other chopper. Garth said, "Okay, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, get three.
Get an extra one too.
Yeah.
I want one just just to sit in. I want to eat lunch in one, but let's not fly it. Just park it here.
In case one don't start, we'll have another. But anyway, that's nuts.
But but that'll be interesting, man, to see. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be successful. I have no doubt it'll sell out at all 300 places. But that's an interesting way to go about it.
So. And you don't even have to touch on this. You don't have to answer this, or maybe you don't have an answer to this. But I know a lot of people are kind of in limbo and kind of wondering what Rascal Flatts is going to do in the future, because I know that they canceled a lot. I think if any of the show or all shows this year.
Yeah. Well, we just so did everybody else.
Right.
So this year was
But the one thing that you guys are doing was that you're like refunding the tickets and stuff, and a lot of people are just saying, hold on to those in case we reschedule.
Yeah, I think it's about half. I think some people are canceling. Well, honestly. The real reason why some people were doing that, some people were canceling so people could get their money back because they knew that people were
struggling,
and if they paid $300-$400 for a family to go to some people need that money, so that was a little.
But this year was kind of wasn't it a farewell tour?
This year was scheduled to be a farewell tour, for whatever that means. I'm not really even sure what it means. I know that there was not anything scheduled to be in 21.
Okay.
I can tell you that.
So everything's just kind of in limbo. I mean, you guys don't know much either, huh?
But now it's like we didn't get to do that tour this year. I don't know, dude. I mean, I couldn't tell you. If I knew, I would tell you. I have no idea. I don't think they do either.
Okay.
I don't know.
So they're just playing it by ear.
I don't know if now they do the farewell tour next year, or maybe everyone really just needed a year off. Yeah. And this year provides that, in all seriousness.
Yeah, no,
it's not farewell anymore. I have no idea.
It may change things, yeah.
I think it will change things, and I have no idea how yet.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll just quit
I just ask
altogether.
Because I have a few friends that are huge RF fans, and they're like,
I have no idea.
And they text, people text me like, hey, do you know what? I'm like, well, I know some guys that play with them, but I don't know this good, but that's why I ask.
It's who knows, man. I do think this year has the possibility of changing things in a lot of different ways, and I don't know.
Could be good, could be bad.
Could be bad, could be good. Yeah. Nobody really knows, man.
Well, hopefully everybody gets over to Travis Toy Tutorials.com. Is that what it is?
Yeah, TravisToyTutorials.com or just Travis.
You try and say that twice as fast.
Or just TravisToy.com. It also.
I was going to say, don't you have your own website?
Yeah,
it's just TravisToy.com, right?
Yeah, it runs on a gas
and
generator.
And you got a brand new CD that you just brought me too. It's called Entry Point.
Yeah, it's my first. It's funny that thing is.
I remember when you were posting videos of you laying or working on this thing.
I tell you, my thing for that is I've recorded random bits and pieces here and there over the year. I never sat down and actually done an entire project front to back, like in one effort, so to speak, where it all sounded the same and like was consistent,
Mm-hmm. When you have a song that you did track here and track
it's
there.
like, and you did this one 6 years ago and it sounds completely different. It's like I didn't want to do that. So, but I did that over the course of the year. The beginning of 19, like January 1st, I went, all right, I'm going to cut a record this year. Randomly, I just decided to, and I went, I'm going to have it done by December 31st of this year, because I knew as busy as I was, like it would, I'd be up late nights and just writing. So I also didn't want to do, because it is, even though it's like primarily, I guess, a steel guitar record, it's I kind of hate steel records.
Well, is it pretty much all instrumental, or
there's one singing song on there, which is an original. It's called "You've Got a Hold on Me," one I wrote 15 years ago.
Yeah, I remember giving you shit about not having me sing that.
Yeah,
anyway,
and
that's cool.
Yeah, it's okay. No, but like honestly, it's funny. A bunch of people have commented because it's I had I played some of the stuff myself, but I heard some friends of mine are incredible at what they do, and like musically it's really fun. It's not necessarily all country.
Yeah.
it's it's all kinds of stuff. And then one great comment, I was at a steel show, and a guy bought one. He goes, "Man, I just got to tell you," he goes, "I've got all these steel guitar records and stuff." And he goes, "And I'll throw one on in the car when me and the old lady are going out to eat, and man, she never lets me play more than a song, and she's always like, God, Henry, turn the radio. And I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, same shit over and over again.
Yeah, he goes, "Man," he goes, "I put yours in," and just kind of like looked over, and she's kind of like bobbing her head,
All right.
and he said, I got to the end of the first song, and I kind of looked over, and he goes, "You want me to change it?" She goes, "No, you can leave it going." And he goes, "Okay." He goes, I swear he said it. He goes, "So man, I just kept driving." And he goes,
nowhere to go.
"Yeah, I think they live." He's like, "Man, we just kind of drove like down the coast or whatever." And he goes, and it got to the last song, and then she goes, "Let's listen to that thing again."
Wow, that's a good compliment,
and
dude.
I said, "Man, that's the best compliment." I said, because I mean, I've tried to make an album that like people who even though it's a steel guitar record, I tried to make a record that is just good music, and you don't have to like steel guitar to like it.
Right.
Like it's
like Herb Alpert or something. I mean, like there's
it's
a lot of
just enjoyable to
instrumental
listen
stuff,
to.
and you go, all right, with the third track, okay, what's next?
Yeah, like kind of wears you out, and
Yeah.
that one jumps around a lot too. There's a lot of ground cover.
I can't wait to listen to the whole thing. I'm pretty sure I ordered one, and I don't know if I honestly can't remember because during this whole thing I was trying to just support my fellow musicians, and I was tipping guys on lives and trying to buy their stuff. And so honestly can't remember if I ordered it or not. But thank you for bringing me a copy.
You bet, man.
And y'all go get a copy too at TravisToy.com. You can order it on there, and he's got his Instagrams on and Facebook, Twitter. I don't ever get on Twitter.
I am not a Twitter guy. No, I have
one. But
I have a Twitter account. It's funny when I post something on Facebook or Instagram, I just
link it.
Do the little slider where it also posts it there. Yeah. And the funny thing is, dude, I bet I get on Twitter like maybe once every few weeks at the most.
I'm like 3 times a year, maybe.
Yeah, at the most. And like the thing is, like I need to do it more because I'll get over there and like I've missed a bunch of like direct messages or things from people. I'm like, I need to,
Yeah, I got on there one day. I was like, oh shit, I know.
I was never a Twitter guy.
That's too weird to figure out for me.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's funny. My wife is on a time, but she actually really only uses it. She subscribes to like all the local news. Like she subscribes to
Yeah.
all the.
Well, that's like Snapchat, and then what's the new one on TikTok? I don't know any of that
I haven't
crap.
even got on TikTok.
We could probably actually do some funny shit on TikTok.
Hey, I've got another good idea for a podcast.
Oh, let her rip.
It's called Player Haters.
Don't hate the game, hate the player.
Hey, but it's just us talking shit about musicians, players.
Oh, we could do that right now.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Episode 1 of Player Haters.
I'm all for it, dude.
Thing is, you got to do it under an assumed name. You got to do it under an assumed name so people don't know it's you, and just unleash it on everyone.
That'd be fun.
Even on yourself. See, that way it's like
they go. Well, it's not Vince doing it.
Couldn't be him because man, he's talking crazy.
Well, I mean,
trash about.
We did that on the porch for 30 minutes before we started doing this.
Yeah, if we had
podcast.
filmed that, we would have had episode 1 of that done.
If we had taped that, we'd have lost a lot of friends and
player haters. This son of a bitch that plays with.
Man, what an asshole!
Yeah, God,
I wouldn't want to hear the episode on me.
Yeah,
I would not. I'd have to be a guest on my own.
On this episode of Player Haters, Vince Moreno.
I like it. Don't hate the game, hate the player.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's a pretty good idea.
Let's do it.
Pretty funny.
Of course,
actually.
now that we mentioned it, they're going to know it's us now.
Yeah.
That's
Just
okay.
go ahead and edit this out.
We'll get different voices or something.
Get this edited.
Yeah, we'll cut this part out. Well, man, thanks for coming over here and doing this episode, man. This has been fun, and everybody out there, go to TravisToy.com, or if you're interested in any steel guitar lessons, or are you going to do any like guitar stuff lessons wise, or just keep it with steel right now?
I've already got people asking for some, like chicken picking stuff and dobro, and who knows, man. Honestly, the thing with that is
it'll be if you have the time, right? To do it.
Yeah, that. But I feel like too, the other thing that I'm trying to do is not, at least in my format. I mean, I'm obviously doing all the teaching, but I don't want to be the guy that's on the top of the mountain shouting down to all the lowly people who will never be, you know what I mean? Going, you must learn this, and this is the only way, and like sort of making people feel bad about like, not being able to do, and it's like I'm trying to help people, give them a pathway to being successful. But all that being said, another thing that I'm doing that I don't really see many people doing is I'm actually totally open to people specifically specifically requesting, like, man, I want to learn the intro to
like a song,
Tom
intros
Catton
or
by Tom Brumley,
yeah.
or like, whatever it may be.
Or what was this Lloyd Green lick? Or,
yeah, exactly. And I've already done a lot of that. So like lessons that are based off of what people are specifically asking for. So I feel like that gives even more value in,
Sure.
It's not just, I have a bunch of stuff that I want to teach and I think people should know, but yeah, if you want me to show you how to play whatever, I'm game. And if you're paying me, I'm teaching.
Even more of it. Yeah.
No, seriously though, because it's like you pay money and you go, there wasn't really anything on there that appealed to me. Well, it's like for mine, tell me what appeals to you. I'll teach
What do you
want
to learn?
What do you want to learn?
It's funny you say that because, man, when I was younger, one of those guys, I never really had a teacher. I learned all myself, but I never knew how to chicken pick. And I was like, how do they get that sound? And I never knew it was a plucking of the string, and I was like, and so I go to my guitar. Well, it was actually my school teacher that was in like the local band that was a hot band back then, And I went to him. I said, I just want to learn how to play.
Were they called Hot for Teacher?
They should have been. Oh my God. No, they were actually called the Renegades back then. But I went to him and I was like, I said, I want to learn like stuff on the radio. Yeah. Guess what he taught me? Keep your hands to yourself.
Listen, kid.
And he gave me a big muff pedal.
Yeah.
And I was like, you remember those?
Yeah.
And I was like,
this ain't it, though.
This one I wanted to learn, I wanted to learn.
But that's what you should know, son.
I wish I knew more rock stuff because I just don't. And I know there's guys that are out on these country gigs that they just go into a rip into a solo. I was like, God dang, I don't know how to do that.
Right.
I could chicken pick a little bit, but anyway, it's funny you bring that up because sometimes when people sign up for a lesson or they may be going to a lesson and they go, all right, well, I want to learn this or whatever. And you go, okay, well, what exact song or is there a certain song? And I want to learn this song. Okay, let's teach you that,
So that's the cool thing.
That's cool that you're doing that.
It almost turns it into more like the same thing you would get in a private lesson, plus all the other stuff I'm teaching. But that's not out of the question, to go, hey man, what about this? Solo on this Bob Wills tune or whatever. And go,
sure.
Cool. And I actually have a list where I maintain a list of what people requested. I'm just working through it, amongst the stuff that
upcoming material.
Upcoming material.
Well, cool. Well, if anybody wants to learn any kind of musical stuff, you've got the guy right here, TravisToyTutorials.com.
Yeah.
Y'all hit him up, and thank you guys for listening to another episode of Music and Memories. It's glad to be back. It's good to be back. Memories. Oh, that's a different podcast.
That's a different podcast.
That's a podcast.
VinceMoreno.gov. Make sure you go to.
Everybody, make sure that you subscribe on SoundCloud or iTunes or wherever you're listening to this, and please share it with your friends. I think a lot of people enjoy hearing a couple of musicians just talking shit and bullshitting and sharing stories because it's fun for me to tape these things. So.
That's like.
But thanks again, Travis Toy.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, sir.
And
appreciate
we'll see you guys all next on the next episode of Music and Memories.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us for the latest installment of Music and Memories with your host, Vince Moreno. Visit VinceMoreno.net for show dates, music, and more.